While searching through the rich bounty available for viewing on YouTube, I came across this film. Whoever uploaded it simply titled it as High School Movies, Full English Hollywood Movie. Well, that's good enough for me. Let's watch. While it is in English, I'm skeptical about this being a Hollywood movie. This looks like some low-budget early 80s sex comedy. And the appearance of those Hostess chips leads me to believe it's more likely one of those low-budget Canadian tax shelter sex comedies that were made in the wake of the massive success of Sir Bob Clark's Porky's. Man, I miss Hostess chips. They used to come in these weird cardboard baggies, and they always had the best prizes, like wrestling stickers, or Star Trek cards, or horror tattoos. Hostess's mascots were the Munchies. 3 adorable little goblins or whatever. When I was 9, Hostess had this great offer where if you sent in 100 proofs of purchases, they'd send you this awesome stuffed Munchie doll. I remember spending days walking around, pulling old bags out of the gutter just to have enough to send in. Okay, are we watching this movie or is this whole thing just going to be Hostess chips? The first scene of nudity occurs at the 16-second mark. That's got to be some kind of record, even for a movie like this. Our 4 heroes are Jock Boy, Nerd Boy, Fat Boy, and their leader, Lover Boy. They're called into the office by the principal, who amazingly looks like a modern-day Bill Murray. Like, if I showed you this screen cap, you'd assume it was from the latest Wes Anderson movie. Fed up with these guys' shenanigans, the principal sends them to a new school, where he expects them to buck up and finally graduate.
These are the lowest marks ever recorded at Beaver High. Don't you think 4 years in grade 12 is enough?
This leads to a road trip montage, with the movie's theme song, and finally the title revealed, Loose Screws. The first thing they do at the new school is trick all the girls into getting undressed for doctor's examination. While this is already creepy enough, it's made worse by the reminder that these guys are supposed to be in their early 20s, and these girls are supposed to be high school children. I don't want to victim blame, but those kids would have to be pretty stupid to fall for that. See, they're not so dumb. They eventually figured out these guys aren't doctors. Like all great trash movies, Loose Screws doesn't bother with much of a plot. Only a series of vignettes involving Lover Boy, Jock Boy, Nerd Boy, and Fat Boy, trying and failing to take advantage of underage girls.
Our mission, should we decide to take it, is to locate and ravage as many women on that bus as possible.
For example, there's the scene where Lover Boy dresses up like a chick to sneak into the girl's bedroom, only to be outed by the ball-busting monitor. Or the scene where Jock Boy tries jumping in the shower with his French teacher, only to be thrown out on his ass. Or the part where Fat Boy tries spying on the girl's locker room, only to come crashing through the ceiling like Chris Farley falling through a coffee table. Nerd Boy invents a formula that will make the girls' bathing suits dissolve. But before he can get enough horny footage, the school principal shows up and spoils the fun. It's implied his suit dissolves away too, but of course this movie isn't going to waste time with male nudity. Probably the most offensive scene is the massage one, which manages to mix sexual harassment with racial stereotypes.
Me way too, Missy Watt.
Loverboy pretends to be the woman's Asian massage therapist, which means he's got to slap on a Fu Manchu mustache and speak in worse broken English than Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Hunglo have big surprise for Missy soon.
Just like in Revenge of the Nerds, all these guys' attempts to get with girls are rooted in violations of their privacy, trust, and personal space. You can't help but notice that despite how horny these guys are, when they're presented with women who willingly want to sleep with them, they lose all interest. Like Nerd Boy's all bummed out because he's still a virgin.
But I'm available anytime for Huey.
The waitress at their favorite soda shop wants to go out with him. So what's his response? He climbs up a ladder so he can peek in the bedroom window of the French teacher. What are you doing? See, he prefers voyeurism to actual human intimacy. Jock Boy winds up in bed with the principal's wife, but just as she's ready to do the do, he decides he's not interested anymore. In fact, he is so not interested in having sex with her, he flings himself out the window just to escape.
Darling, are you all right? I'll be right down. We'll do it in the bushes.
Like hell.
Why do I have the feeling that if she had passed out drunk instead, Not only would he have had sex with her, but first he would have called his 3 buddies to come over and hide in the closet to watch while he did it. You really do feel like the movie hates women, considering the treatment of the character of the French teacher, played by CBC star Cynthia Beliveau. When the movie starts off, she's kind and sweet and very patient with these assholes. At the end of the film, they plot revenge on her, and the audience is clearly supposed to applaud her humiliation.
Gentlemen, please, this is not the film that I ordered.
Mr. Chairman, I have to apologize. I'm sorry.
Why does the script suddenly turn her into a hateful character? What, she's a bad guy just because she wouldn't let that creepy weirdo finger bang her at the massage studio? The most interesting thing about Loose Screws is the principal, played by the great Mike MacDonald, who may not have been the most successful Canadian comedian in terms of money and fame, but arguably the funniest and most beloved. His CBC specials were masterful, as were his appearances at every single Just for Laughs festival. He's one of the first comedians I remember watching on TV during appearances on Comic Strip Live. His autobiographical routines about his grumpy father and rotten childhood had me laughing as hard as the first time I saw Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Mike MacDonald passed away just a few weeks ago. His heart gave out. From his appearance on Mark Maron's WTF podcast, I learned Mike contracted hepatitis C from snorting heroin with shared dollar bills. I'm not sure if the 2 illnesses were related. I was fortunate enough to get to see Mike MacDonald perform live, about 10 years earlier. The show was supposed to be a fundraiser for fibromyalgia, but someone must have fucked up bad. I don't know how this happened, but when I arrived for the show, only 12 other people had bought tickets. The show was at a college in Regina, but instead of using their huge theater for 13 lousy people, they decided to have Mike perform in one of the classrooms instead. When I went inside to sit down, he was standing in front of the chalkboard, setting up the microphone himself because the school technician didn't do it properly. He must have been pissed off. But still, great show. Laughed my ass off. I wish there was more information about how he wound up in Loose Screws. Is he proud of the movie? Or did he order his family, "Make sure that piece of shit Loose Screws isn't mentioned in any of my obituaries"? Thanks for the laughs, Mike.
Hunger have big surprise for Missy soon.
Shenanigans. It's been a lot of fun, shenanigans. But now we've got to run. It's funny how the minutes seem to fly.